Hello, hello. How are you doing? How are things?
Great. I'm here in Australia. It's beautiful here, as you can, well, you can't see. The
Little
sun's not
cloudy,
out.
little
I've said this
cloudy.
every thing now. I've officially said the sun's not out every single one of my interviews. This is the last one. So
It's
I guess
bright.
everybody knows I love the sun now.
Yes. Yeah, can't beat it. So that's nice. Good to hear. Good to hear. Fun times. Yes, being in Australia, big title fight, all these exciting things going on. But Tatiana, before we kind of get into it, I got to ask you a really difficult question to start. Is that okay?
Of course.
All right. What is your favorite Celsius flavor and why is it Galaxy Vibe?
I knew you were going to ask something that wasn't too serious.
Yes.
I feel like I really enjoy the peach flavor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with you
it's a,
there.
it's a tie. I really like the peach and the Fuji apple.
Okay. I don't know if I've had
That
that
was a
one.
banger, but it's low key like me. Flies under the radar.
All right, I see. Yeah, I know they have so many to choose from. That's why I had to ask because whenever I see athletes sponsored by it, I'm like, this is a great question because they have, I don't know, like 30? There's so many.
There's so many flavors. I'm like, you have this one?
Yeah.
Um,
I know, coming up with them every day. So it's exciting. Good stuff indeed. But all right, Tatiana. Well, yeah, like I said, exciting to have this title fight. We've all been waiting for you to, challenge for the belt, and it's finally here. And in Australia, very cool. Big scene, great fight scene, all that stuff. But first of all, I mean, just how was last year for you overall, though? I want to ask you about that because, it was one without fights, unfortunately, but just overall, I
yeah,
mean, got engaged. That's awesome. Congrats there. Just how was
yeah.
it as a whole, though?
Yeah, it was a good year. Just because, I mean, it kind of sucked that I wasn't able to compete, but I was ready fairly like soon after, I had hurt my knee in February. I got I had to get they didn't catch it the first time, so that's why I just kept training with it and training with it, and it was like really hurting, and I was like, man, I just know that this isn't right. There's something wrong with it. And then they found out like around, I think it was like April or May, or no, April. And then so I had it fixed in April, and then Pat had his fight in May. We got engaged, and then I was pretty much ready after that. But the division was so tied up and everything like that. And then Weili had just fought. I'm pretty sure Jan, but she wasn't ready to fight, and they thought that that was going to happen, but then it didn't happen. And then I was hoping for this fear. This fear didn't happen. And then I had that fight booked with Verna, and then that didn't go through just because I feel like the UFC had bigger plans for all of us. So now here we are, Sydney, Australia, February 8th, 9th.
Yes, half and half, depending where you are in the world. But yeah, you mentioned
Exactly.
you mentioned the Verna fight falling through, or I mean, it. I guess getting pushed aside. I mean, look, it seemed like you had fun with it on social media. What was all that about when that happened?
The what?
With the Verna fight falling
Oh
through.
yeah, I just was like, I'm fine, but I can't. So yeah, but yeah, I'm fine. So we're good, and I'm gonna be fighting here in
Yes,
Australia.
absolutely. And, it's interesting though, Tatiana, because as unfortunate as the injuries are for any fighter, especially ones who have a lot of them, I think of Dominic Cruz or even GSP had some ACL injuries in his career, and with them in particular, I bring them up because I think you can argue it made their stories a little bit greater. Having to get through that stuff. Do you kind of feel
Right.
you're in a similar spot?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think I'm just feel like I'm a little different just because, yeah, I am undefeated. I am such a dominant, fighter in my fights. So I think, that makes me a little bit even more. So even though I know like GSP also was very dominant too.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many, I cannot say how many finishes that GSP had, but I think he was known to go all 5 rounds, right? Usually, like he had a lot of decisions, and I'm not sure. Pat
Mostly in
would
the second
know,
half of his career, yes.
huh?
Mostly in the second half of his career, yeah.
Okay, so like the second half of his career, he had more finishes or less finishes?
Mostly decisions, yeah.
Less finishes. Okay, probably because he was, getting a little older, and the fight, sport was evolving too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but regardless, dominant champion, amazing fighter, love GSP. But just saying, like I do have a lot of finishes, and I am very dominant too. So I think that's, I guess you would say, like I'm more like GSP.
Fair enough.
Cool.
It's a good comparison either way. So
It is, huh? Yeah. No, I get it. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know.
all good, all good. And I mean, similar to him and Cruz, though, like you have proven that ring rust doesn't matter for you either, and that's like a big debate, right? Whether it is real or not. And like I said, I think you have proven it's not. But despite that, do you still wish that the activity levels could be higher? And I'm sure that's the plan, as we go forward here
Yeah, of
with the title.
course. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would love to have, like, a couple of fights before this, just because I just want to fight. But that's not, obviously that didn't happen. So right now I just gotta be like, okay, well, that's not how it is. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna do it like I'm gonna go fight like I do every single day when I go to the gym, hard. I spar hard, I grapple hard every single day. So I just don't feel like it's any different because I'm in a cage and it's on TV.
Right. Of course, just kind of more time to get better and improve the skills, right? Focus on things.
Absolutely. I'm just, every single day I'm working hard regardless of a fight or not. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of interesting too, Tatiana, because when we do look at Weili, like the last couple of years, she hasn't been the most active champion either. I think she's averaging, one fight a year, which for a champ, we like to see maybe two at least, which is kind of just the average in general, but she's been sticking to kind of one a year. But we've seen the improvements specifically with, her in the wrestling department. So I'm really fascinated what you've made of her progress specifically as a wrestler now.
Yeah, as a wrestler, I like it, because then, it plays into my game, and even if she decides that she doesn't want to wrestle me, it doesn't matter because I can still wrestle her, and if she wants to wrestle me, then good, because I'm a very good defensive wrestler. I have a lot of tacks, and I just feel like our styles match up very well for me.
Did you have any big takeaways from her last fight? Because she really leaned on it in that one, and I think you could argue, she might have been losing the striking to Zhao Weili. So what were kind of the big things you noticed in that fight?
Yeah, no, I just felt like, she really capitalized on the fact that, Jan isn't really an experienced grappler, and she was able to capitalize on the fact that Jan isn't, strong in that area.
Mm-hmm. And are you kind of expecting her to use her wrestling defensively? Because I think, it's fair to say you're the best wrestler in the division. So it's kind of, I think we're all intrigued to see how she approaches you specifically when you have kind of that obvious advantage over her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what her tactics are going to be. Maybe she's going to want to, also wrestle me too. I think that could be a thing, and that's okay too, because I'm very good everywhere, especially, like on the ground. I'm also very good on the feet as well. So I think she'd be very surprised at my movement and my footwork. And I am very rangy, and I use my range very well. I have very good long range tools, and I do have a lot of power as well. So yeah, I think she'll be very surprised on how great I am all over the place, even in the clinch. I have good knees. I'm very, very aggressive. I think that's where she also gets people too. She's very aggressive with people that cannot take that, and like I can take it and give it back too. So I feel like it makes for a good fight. She's not going to bully me around the cage, I'll tell you that. So we're going to go out there. It's going to be a great fight, and it's going to steal the show.
Yeah, I cannot wait for it. And I think it's really cool that you get this opportunity in, international waters in Australia. Like, was that an exciting part of this for you getting to, go somewhere fun for such a big occasion?
Yeah, I mean, when we got here, I was like, wow. I mean, I really like green. So, like, there's a lot of green here. But I was like, hell yeah, especially coming from Vegas when we just walk outside, it's just like tan everywhere.
Right.
We're like, what the hell, this sucks. And both me and Pat are from green areas. Like I'm from California, it's very green there.
Hmm.
So is Buffalo. It's very green unless it's winter. Then it's just brown everywhere because there's dead trees everywhere. But but yeah, like we're both from very beautiful places. So, going to the desert was just like a big thing for us. We're always like, man, it sucks. Like we can't even go on enjoyable walks because it's
Right.
just like beige. But here we can go out here. It's like, I mean, I'm literally looking at someone's backyard and there's grass and like brush in it. And I'm like, that's crazy weird. Like, because they're an apartment. So it's
Right.
like, how do you get brush and grass on someone's like the roof of the apartment? That's crazy. But I mean, I love it. It's
Oh
beautiful.
yes. In Australia, they got it all different sites, so it is definitely very fun to
Yeah, I
see.
mean, they also have the spiders.
Yeah, that's no fun. The
I was like
wildlife.
taking a shower, I saw a spider web. I was like, oh, hell no, I'm out of here.
Yeah, look out for those. Look out for those.
Yeah.
But I got to give some props to the man himself. I mean, mentioned him, old Pat there, Mr. Mix. I just got to ask, like, how critical has it been having him by your side? I can imagine it's just been, I mean, you guys training together can only help each other more than anybody else can imagine, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really love it just because, we're what better, like, I guess you would say, like, what better person to have in your corner that sees you every day. We have like numerous talks about, my brain, you know what I mean? Like, just he knows because I'll just like voice it, like, hey, I think this, I think that, like, I feel this way, I feel that way. So he like not only knows like the technique behind it, but he knows like what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, because I'll tell him like I was thinking this, and then that's when I went to my guillotine or I went to my rear naked or whatever it may be, or I felt this way and I started letting go or this and that, like things like that. And he like listens to me and he's really, really like in love with the sport and like likes the mindset behind it as well. So it's like, it's super cool because I have that, like that closeness with somebody that's going to be in my corner and obviously trust them with my life. So like, it's really nice to have that. And like obviously he's just like a different level when it comes to grappling. So I mean, I don't know who her coaches are, but I'm telling you that he could kick their ass any single day of the week and twice on a Saturday.
Safe bet. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. So
Yeah.
I'll hold you to that one. But did you notice kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to say fights get easier or anything, but I don't know exactly when you guys got together, but once you did get together and have him, in your corner and helping you out, did MMA, has it felt easier in a way in terms of like the fights itself? Because again, you've been very dominant, Tatiana. And so
Yeah.
whenever you've been dominant like that, I'm like, what would the toughest fight be for you? Because they all look easy from our perspectives, right?
Yeah. I don't know which one was the toughest. I think probably maybe like my fight with Nino was real tough just because I was like trying to get through my neck injury while I was fighting. So it was really tough, but I mean, I still managed, I still won. So that's like amazing in itself just because I had like obviously a tough injury during the fight, which, I mean, I think that was just like more mentally, than
Yeah.
anything. Because you just like, well, what's going on? What the hell's happening here?
Yeah.
But I mean, regardless, like good matchup. I still did a really good job. So, I mean, I'm still proud of that performance as well. And, but I think that probably could have been maybe the toughest fight I've had to date. But yeah, I don't know. For me, um, in terms of, you said that has it been easier for me since we've met?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I definitely think that my game has evolved in certain ways because I could just like, if I come home and I'm like, man, why am I having this trouble with this? I can just be like, hey, Pat, like, why am I having trouble with this? And then he could look at the position and just be like, oh, it's because of this, and because he's like grappled a million rounds as well, so he could give me that input. And our games are oddly so similar in the fact that we both do like lots of guillotines and any type of rear naked choke or really like any type of choke in general, like grappling in general. And he's very, very good at controlling people. And that's what I want to do. So I want to control them and then eventually break them and submit them.
Yeah, you guys just hate necks. What is up with that?
Yeah, and weirdly enough, I have neck problems.
Right. Yeah. That's
But every
quite a
time people go
coincidence.
with me, they're like, "Ma'am, I got a kink in my neck."
That's hilarious. Yeah, quite a coincidence. But,
I know.
all right, Tatiana. Well, this has been great. Before I let you go, though, I just want to ask about kind of something back in the day from your incredible career. And sure you've heard DC talk about kind of the rub, which is when maybe those young fighters take on their big challenge for the first time and what it can do for them. It's crazy to look back and see that you had a wrestling match with Saori Yoshida, the legendary Saori Yoshida, all the way back in 2010, the World
Yeah.
Championships. I mean, reflecting on that now, all these years later, what was that experience like?
Yeah, it was amazing. I was so young back then, and now, it kind of sucks that that I had to wrestle her when I was so young in my career because I feel like, years later, it had been so much different. I truly believe that, give me a couple more years down the line. And, because I was so young when I hit the international scene, like I won my first medal at 17. So, by the time I wrestled Yoshida, I was only 19, 18 years old. Um, so, I believe, a few years down the line, I would have kicked Yoshida's ass all over the mat. So, but she is a legend, and that's why I would have made it my goal to do that. That would have been my goal, and I would have done that because that's the kind of person that I am.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it led you here in the end, so great experience to have Tatiana, and really cool to
Yeah.
see that one. And all right, well, on that note, I'll leave you to it. I appreciate you so much for taking the time, and cannot wait for this fight. Very excited for it, and wish you all the best with the rest of the time in Australia, the weight cutting, just seeing stuff. So hope you have fun and get to enjoy it all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.